Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Let's talk addiction. I'm here with Sayed. He's here with me. And today we have a very special edition of the podcast here with you today. Why is it special, Sayed?
Well, today we have a guest with us, and our featured guest was addicted to drugs before, and now he is clean.
Thank God. Good for him.
Thank God. It's very hard. I appreciate him coming out here. You know, it takes a lot of courage.
Of course, it's not an easy subject to talk about, especially if you've been through all of that.
Yeah.
So what is the purpose of him having himself here on the podcast?
Well, basically, what we're trying to do over here is we're trying to show people like how it can actually affect you. What are the negatives and how badly it can affect not only your present but your future as well. And along with that, there are many other things that will be discussed as the podcasts go on.
Welcome to our podcast. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. My name is Alia. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be using an alias for you. Is Mr. A all right?
Yeah, it works.
He came in as Anon, so it works,
Yeah.
Mr. A, yeah.
Okay, so Mr. A, I would like to thank you on behalf of Group 1. Thank you for coming over here, and thank you for, it takes a lot of courage to be on here and wanting to share your experiences. We sincerely thank you for this.
Yeah, no worries. I know it's a sort of a taboo thing in Pakistan to even discuss it. I don't know about Turkey, but we're here, it's taboo. I mean, Zadi, you've lived here also. I mean, you know better, right?
Yeah.
It is, we don't know if it's taboo yet or not, but it's not talked about in general. People don't...
Yeah, I mean, usually people are shunned out. Drug addicts, especially, they're not fully integrated into society here.
Oh, yeah, I'm really sorry.
So, my man, let me start by asking you, how did would you be comfortable telling us what you used to use?
I mean, I used to use it it won't be like a single substance. I've used most of the illegal substances widely available in Pakistan. It can be from hashish to weed to MDMA, pills, ketamine, cocaine, methamphetamine, other amphetamines. I mean, there's no limit to the things I've done. But it all started from hashish.
I see. Would you like to take us through that? How did it start?
So you're saying
sure.
that
Yeah,
it
sure.
started with hashish, right? Do you think that...
That was really the gateway drug. I mean, it's called the gateway drug, so...
And some people believe that that's a false statement, but you believe it's a correct statement.
Well, at least in my case, it wasn't so. It's I started off with hash. I mean, my personal experience. I mean, everybody's experiences varies, but for me, it was hash.
And then from hash, you started getting into harder drugs?
Yeah, hardcore drugs pills. From pills, I went on to, MDMA. From MDMA, I went on to other hardcore drugs like coke and amphetamines.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what was the thought process behind it? So you liked the high from the hash. Did you want something harder than that?
I mean, look, firstly, you have to take a deep dive in my background, where I'm from, the trauma that led to me using drugs in the first place and all that, So it basically started off when I was, 17, 17. I'm 24 now. I mean, almost 24, but back then I was 17. Pakistan is a police state, and Azadi even knows that because, I don't know if he has told you what sect he belongs to, but one can say Pakistan is a police state, and there's a lot of injustice over here. What happened to me was when I was about 17, my house got raided and shit, and I was held at gunpoint at one point. So that really scarred me, and I started to have like PTSD. Like I used to like recall all that shit, and like it used to give me major anxiety attacks at that time, and like I got into depression at that point. And then someone really introduced me to pills and hashish. So
I see.
the hash really grounded me at that point, because like it prevented further anxiety attacks and all that. But what I didn't know at that point was like how bad I could spiral.
Well, my man, so let me stop here and ask you, when you were going through, these anxiety attacks, did you ever plan, did you try and talk to someone about it, reach out maybe?
We're very sorry that you had to go through all of that. I can't even imagine. We wanted to ask, Sayed wanted to ask, did you try to seek professional help before going to drugs?
At that part of my life, that particular time, I wasn't very stable at that point, because like I wasn't at home at that point. Like I was in a different city. I wasn't at home, and I missed my loved ones. And I had no way to communicate with them at that point either. So the charges which were brought up against my family were like totally like trumped up at that point. And now like we've gotten some relief from the Supreme Court of Pakistan. So things have gotten better over the years, but at that point it was looking kind of dark. I guess I didn't really seek out any help, because like my whole situation wasn't like stable, because as I mentioned earlier, like I was in a different city, and then I had no way of communicating with my home. And at that point, I wasn't really looking for therapy. I just wanted to be home, with my loved ones and all that. And I was really homesick at that point.
And you said that someone got you on the side. Who was that someone? Was it someone close, a friend, perhaps?
First, I had this group of friends. Like we did a tour of the northern areas of Pakistan. UK. Maybe you know about it. Like Hunza and all the places up there.
Yeah.
So the first hash cigarette I first had was like up there when I was like 16 or something. And I wasn't really hooked by hash at that point. And after that, I really got into like booze and all that, because booze for me isn't a hardcore drug. I still drink from time to time, but I don't think it really bothers me. I really consider like drugs my enemy. Like that shit went dark from there. So at that point, my friends bought me my first hash cigarette, and yeah.
So, alcohol did not have that kind of addictive relationship with you.
No.
You got
it's like, once I went on a bender of coke. Like I was snorting coke for like 7 days straight. At the end of like 9 days, I was like a skeleton, and I was quite messed up. Booze never really had that effect on me, because like I drink one day and then I'll sleep, and then I'll drink maybe a month from then. It's like it wasn't really addictive for me.
Okay.
With drugs, it's really a binge thing, like you binge watch Netflix and all that, and Netflix Prime or Disney Plus. So the way people like skip and like they want to like have the next the next episode, they want to know what happens after the cliffhanger.
I see.
I just want to know what happens. Like, maybe this high will get better. Maybe this high will get better. It's really like a dog chasing its own tail, a snake eating its own tail, and it really gets bad.
So can you
get like chasing the dragon? Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit more about how you started to go more into start taking a bit more of a variety to drugs? Was there anything that triggered it, or was it just mere curiosity?
Yeah. I mean, first it was like just my curiosity at that point, but like things. I mean, I couldn't really get high off of like weed or hash at that point, so I needed the next big thing. I wanted to see what else is there. So the curiosity really killed the cat.
So you kind of developed like a resistance to hash because you kept consistently smoking it, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
your brain, the brain couldn't produce the same high it did from the first times.
Yeah. It's like the first time you smoke a cigarette, like a normal cigarette, a Marlboro one or downhill cigarette.
Yeah.
I maybe smoked my first cigarette when I was like 11 or 12. Yeah. So at that point, the first few drags I took, like puffs, it really like hit me different, But yeah, it wasn't the same after that. I'm even smoking right now, but like I've cut it out.
That's really good.
Like it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah, your body starts
and
becoming
my
immune to it.
my therapist doesn't even allow me to take like caffeine now. It's like he says, okay, if you take caffeine, it'll just end up being one of the other things you like use as a coping mechanism. Like caffeine for me is a booster of mood. I get energized after that, and like it's a slippery slope. Caffeine and other substances.
Yeah, okay.
So when was, can you tell us about the point where you thought like this is getting a bit too much? And perhaps like,
when, yeah.
What was the
did you
point?
repeat your question?
What was the point where, can you tell us about the point where you thought everything got a bit too much and you need to get it under control?
Yeah, okay. So, the first time I overdosed and wound up in the hospital, I mean, it wasn't enough for me. I had to overdose like 2 times to figure out, really, bro, I mean, this is getting quite bad. I mean, I have to change my path, the path I'm on. It's not working out. And, a lot of my friends who were like really deep into drugs and partying, most of them died. Yeah. It's like some had reactions, some overdosed, some had a heart attack. I too have had 2 minor heart attacks in the past. Like I was like way up on coke.
And how old were your friends when they had the heart attacks?
Maybe around 18, 19.
And they had minor heart attacks at the age of 19 because of
because like mostly the things you get from here. I mean, I don't know about US or UK or Europe or anywhere, but mostly the stuff you get from here, it's mostly produced by like terror organizations, like Taliban.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't know what Taliban is an insurgency group in Afghanistan, I guess. So the Taliban's whole produce is like hash or churs. It's called churs here in Pakistan. And they're getting into the market of amphetamines as well, like crystal meth.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Maybe I think I derailed the question. I forgot where I was.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right.
No, like all the information you're giving us is very, very important to know. Thank you so much. So the Taliban, they're selling.
Oh yeah, I was saying they were 18 or 19 at that time. I mean, I'm not really friends with them anymore. I mean, and the ones who are still alive, because like hanging out with those people, I mean, it can only go one way. Because you have to really leave all those people to really move on. Because I mean, if you have them on your phone, you'll end up maybe contacting them. I mean, for me, it was like this, because like I mean, I blocked those people and then I'll unblock them and I'll contact them again to get my drugs and all that.
So, talking about people you might please.
Sorry.
Continue.
I mean, talking about the deaths of like kids who are my age, taking the people who take drugs, I mean, their life is at risk the most. I mean, even greater. Even terrorist attacks don't kill the amount of people like die of drug related episodes.
Terrorist attacks don't kill as many people as drugs do.
Yes, I mean they go mostly unreported here in Pakistan. I mean, I haven't seen anyone like fill out a report. It's like the police think it's too big of a task. I mean, they have to find who got the drugs, where it was produced, and all that. So they don't do that.
There's also the.
They aren't really bothered by it. I mean, you can see people like dying on the side of the road, like literally 30 kgs, 6 feet guys, like they're laying on the side of the road. They're dead actually, or they will be at one point.
In slums, yes, you can also see that, and there is also the aspect of shame. A lot of families don't like to report it as such.
Yeah. It is the case. I mean, I said in the start, like talking about drugs and like drug abuse, substance abuse, all that, alcoholism here in Pakistan, it's a taboo thing. People consider this like after like blasphemy and all that. I think I'd put it up there.
I see. What about what you call it? So we were talking about people you had to cut out. How about the people you brought?
Yeah.
How about like when you started,
Recovering.
not recovering. When you started, using drugs, how did you find the dealers? Did you make any relationship? Do you have a proper relationship with them? Because I've heard they're known to approach their clients in a very friendly manner.
You got them through your friends, right?
At one point, I had a dealer at my the fast food joint I used to go to. There was a guy there. There was a guy at the car wash I used to take my car to get it cleaned up. There was a dealer outside my school. I mean, he used to. I don't know what he used to sell. Maybe he used to sell like stationery in a shop or some shit. Yeah, it was basically a print shop. So even that guy was my dealer at one point.
So there was
you can get people off Instagram too. Instagram, I don't know about you, but like I've had like people like DM me things that like this is available. Come DM me. Come DM me if you want some more. Like So it's widely available in Pakistan. I mean, you don't have to look far to get drugs here. I mean, 70%. I saw a stat where it said like 70% of people in Pakistan smoke hash. So I mean, obviously there must be a lot of dealers to like provide the resource.
All right, and you just said that one was outside you could find one outside your school. Were the authorities aware of this? Maybe the school principal?
Most of the police stations, like they take bribes in form of like they call it mahana. You see, mahana means like monthly in Urdu. So they take the mahana, and mahana was also popular like when COVID hit started. Over here in Lahore they had this sort of smart lockdowns, and like shops were closed after 10 p.m. at night. But like mostly remained open because like they had given money to the police. It was in form of mahana. So yeah, most of the dealers like they. I remember a point when I was like I had gotten into a traffic violation, and I was taken to the jail. I had to spend a night there. But yeah, nothing was really charged, so I got off easy. But the thing was, I saw some strange thing happening in the SHO's office. SHO is basically the head of the police station, like the sheriff or some shit,
Yeah.
So there were like these guys, the like Dolphin Police guys. What Dolphin Police is like is a special force, police force in Pakistan. Dolphin Police were bringing there were like 3 guys. They were bringing in like huge bags full of like alcohol and heroin and all that. It's like I recognize heroin. I recognize heroin anywhere, bro. I mean, and the bottles were labeled, so I knew it was alcohol. And at night, what used to happen was they used to like get people will like enter the police station and they will buy the alcohol and drugs off them. And then I saw the constable giving drugs to the prisoners, who were drug addicts, basically, who couldn't live without it. And they would tweak and puke and all that, shiver. They would have like cold sweats and all that. So they didn't want their police station to be like dirty with all the puke. So they chose the easy path, just give them drugs. So you can get drugs pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, it's easy to access. Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, and
it's really easy to get drugs.
Now we have all of this context in Pakistan about how easy it is to get into hardcore drugs. How easy is it to get out of it? So there's all this shame. There's all these issues of not reporting the kills and the deaths that happen from drugs. How can someone who's in that situation get out of drugs? You said you should leave your friends, right? What are other ways?
You should, yeah. I mean, there are a few ways you can do that. I mean, firstly, like I said before, you should like cut off everyone you had like in that circle. When I was partying, I had to leave all that behind because I had to look at the decisions that got me to that point. And they were bad ones, including the one which were like surrounding myself with like all these negative people, toxic people. So the first thing one should do is like cut off these people, all your party friends, all your dealers, everyone who's related to drugs, or your drug circle. You should just cut them off, plain and simple.
Any connection?
Secondly, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You gotta connect. You gotta cancel all the connections you have to that side of your life.
Yes.
Do you substitute?
I mean, if it means breaking your phone.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
It means even if it means breaking your phone.
Yes, I did that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you replace them with other friends? What did you do to fill that space?
I was just phoneless for a month. I knew. I mean, if I wanted to get out, I broke my Sims. I deleted my socials. I was like completely off the grid, because like it was getting too much for me. So I had to like completely go.
Okay, so you went.
Yeah. So the other thing is like, sorry, I keep cutting.
I'm so sorry. So you went phoneless. What did you do to replace that? What did you do to cope with that?
I mean, I had my PC, my laptop and my PC. I mean, funny story, even my PC got stolen by my dealer, so.
Oh no, fuck that.
Oh my god.
So you got your PC stolen.
So I had to... Yes.
Okay.
Not just my PC, I mean, dealers used to like take all my shit, like my shoes, my really expensive shoes, like maybe $400 worth of shoes.
Oh no.
One pair. And my vapes and everything, so.
Okay.
And I didn't actually, I didn't really bother with them because like I knew like getting a new dealer was a hassle, someone you couldn't trust anyone. It's like someone could be an undercover cop, working for the state.
Mm-hmm.
During this whole episode, how did you find the finances to afford all the drugs?
I mean, my parents supported me at that time, so I had money. I had resources to get the drugs, and I used to get the drugs cheaper. Like street value of cocaine at that time in Pakistan was maybe $100, but I used to get it like at $50 US for a gram. But yeah, it was cheap for me, and I used to get like my resources from my parents. They support me, and they cut me off after that because like they started to realize I was using drugs.
So your parents, they cut you off when they found out you were using drugs.
Yes.
Did that help you recover?
No, it didn't. It actually did not. Because the fact of the matter was I had many friendships in the party circle. I knew between 200 to 300 people like would constantly party like day in day out. They would go to clubs and they would do these private events, raves, underground raves, where I would party for like from 7 p.m. in the evening to 7 a.m. in the morning, and afterwards I'd go on to afters from that, like from 7 a.m. I'd go on an after, and then I'd go home at maybe 7 p.m. again. So a whole day I spent clubbing and all that. It was actually quite tiring.
Okay. So one step is to cut off the friends, replace that with other activities. How is that the only thing you did? Are there any other ways you were able to recover?
I didn't really get help from any, therapists and all that at that point. So I really just cut off people I knew who could get me drugs. I just wouldn't go there. And, I had relapsed after that too. I relapsed many times, but the thing is to just try, I don't know about any substance abusers or alcoholics who've not relapsed. Everybody does at some point. It doesn't matter if you're only on doing drugs. Movements oh, never mind. That's too stupid.
Okay. Okay.
It will be controversial for me to mention here, so I wanted to do that.
It's like relapsing when you're trying to take a break from anything. There's always a relapse, and those are normal, right? Just as long as you keep trying.
The thing is, I also found God at that point, so it really helped me then, because I traded one addiction for another, I don't know what your religious status is, but for me at that point, I was I wouldn't call myself an atheist, but I wasn't a practicing Muslim back then. Would
you have considered yourself to be agnostic?
Yes, I was. I leaned towards agnosticism. At that point, but then I found God at one point. I started going to the mosque and I started praying and I started fasting. I traded one addiction for another at that point. Addiction would be a strong word to use for religion, but someone said religion is the opium of the masses.
Yeah,
I can't remember
true.
the exact code, but I guess the gist of it was this.
That's true, but you found a relationship.
And I know many people over here, sorry, I cut you off again.
It's okay. Continue. You know many people.
I knew many people from my circle who left drugs and they're so Muslims, they pray 5 times a day.
Yeah.
From dawn to dusk, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of dedication to do that. You sometimes you might feel lazy, but you feel obligated to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wake up, do the wuzu and pray. So. For me, I traded one addiction for another at that point, and it was really necessary for me too, because for me, praying it really brought up my spirituality. I always believed in God, but I wasn't really practicing. So I knew there was this higher being. All this is not random. If it was random, there'd be chaos, even more than what it is today. So. Yeah, I knew a few of my friends who got into praying and fasting and going to religious events, where the speakers, what you call it, I don't really know what I should call the guy who speaks at these religious events.
Or a sheikh, every Friday prayer, they would come to the sheikh and they would listen to the Friday meetings.
The prayer thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Western countries, there are many drug addicts who've found this connection with God. It just helped them move on. It's they find a better purpose. doing drugs. There's no purpose. So for them, like a higher purpose is actually what helps. So, I mean, cutting people off, finding God, going to therapy it works. It just works.
So you can say you had religious therapy by establishing a connection with God, Allah specifically.
Yeah. I was pretty depressed before I started praying, but like I felt satisfied like whenever I prayed, because like it meant like waking up, doing something, and then going to bed. I even used to pray like Fajr. It's the dawn prayer, so I used to do that too.
You used to pray Fajr on time, wake up with a purpose.
I felt there was a purpose for me to wake up. I felt suicidal at one point in my life when I was like down this rabbit hole of drugs, and it really helped me.
الله يعطيك العافية والله يبعث لك كل الحسن بالدنيا. I'm praying for you in Arabic.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm also Muslim. Okay, so to wrap up what you said, basically, your methods of recovery were to cut off people who led you to drugs. You found a relationship with God, and that gave you a higher purpose.
Yeah, essentially.
And did the community help? If the community of
yes, it did. It did. I mean, I felt like valued there. I mean, my life had value in the eyes of all these people. Like, I mean, I'd meet like a guy who's like 70, and like he'd randomly like greet me in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. So I mean, I was at a point where like even some sort of like minimalistic connection would help me,
Yeah,
because
it would give you a sense of satisfaction.
Because the chemical imbalance in my mind was like too much. I'd go into mood swings. I'd be depressed, and then I'd be like happy in the span of like 30 seconds. I'd be happy, and then I'd be sad. And it was not just sadness, not just happiness. It was like euphoria, and it was like hardcore depression. Like what's the point? I should just end it all. So like Billie Eilish mood.
So would you say like the drugs, they were disconnecting you from the world?
It did. The drugs really effed me up at that point.
So you feel like the first step you had to take before cutting your friends was to admit that you had a problem?
Yeah. I mean, I realized, bro. I mean, I'm only 22, and maybe at that point I was 21, 22. So I realized I've had two minor really two incidents where I almost died. I had to analyze, look at where I was, and how I spent my past 5 years, and would I even be alive when I was 20, 28 at that point? 5 years later, would I even be alive? Would I even be on this earth? Life is really a gift, but I realized it later in my life.
True. Do you feel like you would have been able to recover faster if you were surrounded by people who would have helped you to admit that you had a problem? Or do you think admitting you have a problem could only come from one person, from themselves?
I mean, I had this intervention type thing even. I mean, a few friends tried to intervene, but it didn't really work. And because I knew I wasn't hooked on drugs. The first time you take a cigarette, you don't think you're hooked on the cigarette. You think you'll get away with it. The first time you take a drag from your vape, if you don't take nicotine, you think it's cool. But 5 years down the line, you're still smoking that, vaping that vape device. So
Yeah.
First one has to admit to like themselves like something is up, you know, and no parent should like bury their own child. You know, I saw the pain in my parents' eyes. You know, it really changed me because I didn't really want to do that. You know, I didn't want to die and like leave them with all this grief to like carry.
I bet they're very proud.
Yes, you could say that. I mean, I have a lot of issues to deal with in my life, but yeah, at least this is done with, you know, so I can move on to improving myself even better.
MashaAllah. You set a very good example.
Okay, so basically what we did was we asked some people any questions they would like to ask you. Would you mind if we go through a few of them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what did you think while under the influence of drugs? Like, what was your thought process?
Thought process about like general things or about something specific, like?
Like, what was the state of your mind when you were under the influence?
I think
I'd like to give you an example of like of my past thought process. When I was like on cocaine at one point, you know, it felt good. It felt good to like take all that, you know, give the dopamine hit to my mind. But what it really did was like damage my mind to a point where I was like so paranoid at one point. You know, it was quite dark time in my life, but I'm glad I've come out of it.
we're glad to.
We're glad it's over now. Which leads us to our next question. Are you happy with your recovery?
Yes, I believe I've come a long way, you know, from where I was back when I was 17, 18.
Would your 17, 18-year-old self be proud of you now?
My 17, 18 thought it was cool to do drugs because like he thought doing drugs would like ease my anxiety, but in fact all it did was make my life worse. So my 17-year-old was stupid, you know. He
So you
doesn't know
can't
anything.
depend on for reliable opinion. Would you give advice to your 17, 18-year-old self?
I would say like you should have listened to your like parents. You should have trusted your instincts, like all the good stuff.
All right. So to conclude, would you like to say a few words to anyone who's listening about?
Someone who might be addicted to drugs, or someone who
Might be at like, you know, whom people basically who are at risk of
drug addiction.
drug addiction.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know, like, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're like hooked on drugs, just know you're not alone. You can ask, you can reach out for help. You know, there are resources available online where you could like talk to people anonymously. You can go to support groups. You can go to therapy. You can really change your life by going to rehab. You know, just take the first step. The first step is the hardest, but you have to take it. You know, if you have to like be healthy, be better. Like focus on what really matters, and what really matters is getting better. And the first step is always the hardest, you know.
Okay.
All right. Well, Mr. A, thank you very much. Again, we appreciate you coming out here and speaking talking about your experiences a lot.
We really appreciate it. I'm very thankful, and it was very nice to meet you. It's not easy at all.
Yeah, same.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your help.
Yeah, no worries.